The Great Hall of the Galactic Council stretched vast and endless, larger than most cities in the galaxy. Thousands of alien delegates filled its tiered rows, climbing so high they vanished into the shadows above. Every seat had been designed with care for its occupant. Some were filled with creatures who breathed water, others with beings that required rare gases. Tiny races had delicate, doll-sized chairs, while colossi sprawled across entire sections. But today, the hall carried a weight that no architecture could hold. Something was wrong. Everyone could feel it. At the center stood Elder HFY of the Zephyrions. Age had turned his once deep purple skin to an ashen white, and his 6 arms trembled with every motion. For more than 3 centuries, he had guided the Council through wars, peace treaties, and the rise and fall of empires. Yet today, for the first time, he looked afraid. "My fellow council members," HFY began. His voice, translated into thousands of tongues by the great machines of the chamber, echoed across the hall. "We must speak of the humans." A ripple of sound swept through the seats. Some laughter, some confusion, some scorn. Humans, the newcomers, a species barely half a century into galactic contact. Weak by most standards, lacking speed, strength, and advanced technology. Traders, diplomats, colonists, harmless, or so everyone thought. HFY raised all 6 arms. Silence fell. That is exactly the problem. You have only seen humans in peace. You have never seen them when they are angry. And that is what makes them the most dangerous species in the galaxy. A crystalline delegate named Veltar, her body chiming softly like living wind chimes, tilted her head. Elder HFY, with respect, how could they be dangerous? The Nexari have thousands of worlds. My people have even more. Humans? Only a few hundred. Others joined in agreement. HFY did not argue. Instead, he stepped slowly around the hall's center. "Then let me tell you of the Thurian Empire." The name alone silenced some of the laughter. The Thurians, massive, brutal slavers, had terrorized the galaxy for centuries. 55 years ago, they captured a human ship. 2,000 souls. His voice grew heavier. The Thurians thought it would be easy money, but they made a mistake. They sent a message to human space, demanding ransom. The humans replied with 3 words: "Give them back." The chamber shifted uneasily. The Thurians laughed. They executed 100 humans and sent the bodies as proof. They expected payment for the rest. HFY's voice dropped to a near whisper, yet every translator carried it like thunder. The humans did not pay. Instead, they studied. They learned the Thurians, every detail of their biology, technology, history. They mapped every world, every trade route, every weakness. And then, he pressed a panel. Above, a star map shimmered to life. Hundreds of systems. The Thurian Empire at its peak. This was Thurian space. Another press. The stars vanished into darkness. "This is Thurian space today." The hall gasped. Empty worlds. Dead systems. Silence where once billions lived. The humans did not just defeat them, they erased them. Every city destroyed, every ship gone, every world dead. Even their language has been lost. The Thurians no longer exist. Silence fell like a heavy shroud. "Surely," one mechanical delegate whispered, "this was an anomaly, A single extreme. Keithvar gave a laugh without joy. I wish that were true. Let me tell you of the Krek's dominion. The maps shifted again. Thousands of worlds, fleets vast enough to blot out stars. The Kreks, a warrior race who saw mercy as weakness, had once stood as one of the galaxy's greatest powers. 47 years ago, they attacked a human research station. It had no weapons, only scientists, children, families. The Kreks slaughtered them all and declared humanity unfit to live. A voice high in the chamber asked softly, "And what became of the Kreks?" Keithvar pressed the panel. The mighty empire vanished from the map, replaced again by emptiness. The humans studied them for 3 years. They poisoned their sacred energy crystals. They forged false histories that unraveled their honor. They ignited civil wars until the Kreks tore themselves apart. And then they released a virus, slow, precise, and merciless. Within 2 years, the Kreks were gone. Not conquered, not defeated. Extinct. The hall trembled with fear. Proud species shifted uneasily in their seats. A draconous delegate, armored in scales, stood tall. Surely these actions were not sanctioned by their leaders. Surely these were rogue elements. Keithvar turned his tired eyes upward. We asked them. We pleaded for explanation. Do you know what they told us? The hall held its breath. They said this: any species that commits genocide against human civilians forfeits its right to exist. They call it the absolute war doctrine. It is official policy, approved by their government, and supported by their people. Shouts of disbelief broke out. No civilized race could accept such extremes, cried the Nixari collective speaker. Keithvar shook his head slowly. The humans do not see it as extreme. They see it as justice. To them, some crimes cannot be forgiven, and genocide is the one they will never forgive. Above, the star map shifted once more. Human space, bright with thriving worlds. Families, children, peaceful lives. They are not the strongest. They are not the smartest. But they are relentless. When wronged, they do not stop until their enemies are nothing but memories. That is why. Keithvar's 6 arms spread wide as his voice fell to a near whisper. The humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The hall sat in silence, every being realizing the same truth. The galaxy had welcomed humanity as a young and harmless newcomer. But beneath their smiles and handshakes lay a force unlike any other, one that did not forgive, did not forget, and would burn entire civilizations to ash in the name of vengeance. And in that silence, every council member wondered the same question. What happens when humans are angered again? The silence in the great hall was so complete that even the atmospheric filters could be heard humming. Species who had once laughed at the mention of humans now sat rigid in their seats. 1,000 eyes, lenses, crystals, and sensory stalks all fixed on Elder Keithvar. Finally, it was the towering representative of the Draconis who broke the silence. His scales glinted under the chamber's light, and his voice rumbled like volcanic stone. Elder, you speak as though humans are demons cloaked in flesh, yet I have met them. I have walked their markets, traded with their merchants. They are ordinary, small, warm, even friendly. Keithvar's old gaze softened, as though he wished it were true. Yes, that is the face they show you, and I do not doubt their kindness is real. But it is not all of who they are. You must understand, humans live with two hearts, one of peace and one of fury. The world sees the first. Only their enemies ever see the second. From the upper tiers, the crystalline voice of Veltar rang again, delicate and melodic. Then, are we to live in fear of them forever? Is peace with humans impossible? Keithvar drew a long, weary breath. Peace is possible, so long as you never awaken their wrath. They do not attack unprovoked. They do not enslave. They do not conquer. But should you strike at their children, their families, their civilians, then you will not be facing soldiers alone. You will face all of them. The hall shivered with unease. From a far corner, a chorus of metallic tones echoed as the Cognite Unit Prime spoke. Statistical analysis suggests an inconsistency. If humans are as dangerous as you claim, Elder, why have they not already sought galactic dominance? Keithvar allowed himself a bitter smile. Because they do not want dominion. They want to live, to build, to dream. But when their existence is threatened, his voice darkened, they do not merely fight wars. They end them. Permanently. Whispers rippled again through the hall, some in disbelief, others in dread. A memory of fire. Keithvar's 6 arms curled inward, as if hugging himself. His eyes looked far away, beyond the council chamber, back into memory. "I was there," he whispered. "I saw the end of the cracks with my own eyes." The council leaned in, for even the smallest fragments of first-hand truth about humans were priceless. Their empire was aflame, their proud fleets shattered, their worlds burning. And yet, it was not human armies that destroyed them. It was themselves. Humans planted seeds of despair so deep that Krex warriors tore apart their own kin, their own cities, their own gods. And when the virus came, he closed his eyes. I saw entire worlds fall silent within weeks. Cities of millions gone, their streets filled only with the sound of the dying. A younger delegate cried out, unable to restrain herself. But why? Why such cruelty? Keithvar opened his eyes, and they were sharp as blades. Because the Krex slaughtered children, and to humans there is no greater crime. The council divides. For a lying moment, no one spoke. Then voices began to rise, one after another. "This cannot stand! We must unite to contain them!" shouted a representative from the insectoid Yiril swarm. "Contain them? You would start a war with a species that unmade the Thurions and the Krex?" hissed a serpent-like delegate. "They are unstable, a threat to every living world." "No, they are a shield, if left in peace. Do you not see? They only destroy those who provoke them." The chamber descended into chaos, thousands of voices clashing in every language, a storm of fear, denial, and calculation. Above the noise, Keithvar raised his arms again. Slowly, the voices dwindled until silence reclaimed the hall. "You are all afraid," he said softly. "Good. You should be. For the humans are not monsters waiting in the shadows. They are neighbors, traders, allies, friends. But if we make the mistake of thinking them weak, then we will awaken something the galaxy may not survive. A question no one wanted to ask. From the highest row, a voice emerged, quiet, trembling, but piercing in its honesty. Elder Keithvar, what if humans are provoked again? The hall froze. It was a question no one wanted to face, yet every mind carried. Keithvar's 6 arms lowered slowly to his sides. He looked older than ever, his voice heavy as a dying star. Then the galaxy will burn. Not quickly, not with fire and fleets, but with patience, with precision, with a vengeance that will not stop until every trace of their enemy has been erased. He looked up, scanning the endless rows of alien faces, each one pale with fear. And when it is done, the humans will mourn, and then they will live in peace once more, as if nothing had happened. That is their nature. That is their strength. And that is why they are the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The Great Hall was silent. Not a word, not a whisper. For the first time in galactic history, the Council had no answer, only the echo of a terrible truth that would haunt them all. Humanity smiled with kindness. But behind that smile waited extinction. The silence in the Great Hall stretched endlessly, broken only by the faint hum of the translation machines. Delegates sat in uneasy stillness, each species turning Keithvar's words over in their minds. Finally, Veltar of the Crystal Choir spoke, her voice like the chiming of silver bells. Elder, you have shown us what humans have done to their enemies. But tell me this, what of their allies? Do they turn their fury upon them too, or only on those who draw first blood? Keithvar's weary eyes softened. That is the paradox of humanity. To their friends, they are fiercely loyal. To those who stand beside them, they give everything: blood, sweat, sacrifice. But betray them, his voice grew heavy, and you will wish you had never been born. Murmurs filled the chamber again, some with awe, some with terror. The voice of the swarm. A clicking resonance echoed as Hurlth, the insectoid matriarch of the Ural swarm, rose to her many legs. Her compound eyes glittered with unease. My people encountered humans on the mining world of Trassa 4, she said. We sought to take the planet's resources. They could have fought us. Instead, they negotiated. They offered trade. They shared technology. Their young even played with our larvae. She paused, mandibles clicking. And yet, hearing your words, Elder, I cannot help but wonder, if we had struck at their children instead of bartering, would we too be nothing but dust and memory? Keithvar bowed his head. Yes. Flashback, the human retaliation. The hall's light dimmed as Keithvar called up another star map. This time, it showed not empty space, but a single shining system, Krex Prime, before its fall. I was there, Keithvar said, his voice low. I watched the humans weave destruction with patience, not by force of arms, but by unraveling the very fabric of their enemy's existence. The map zoomed in. Fleets, cities, vibrant trade routes. They began with small conflicts, civil wars, rebellions, assassinations. At first, the Krex laughed, thinking humans weak for hiding behind shadows. But every year, their strength waned, until the day the virus came. The hologram shifted, worlds turning black, fleets drifting powerless. A whisper of horror echoed through the hall. I saw warriors, once proud enough to charge death itself, reduced to mindless beasts, tearing their own kind apart in madness. I saw worlds of billions fall silent in days. I saw, Keithvar's voice faltered, I saw a species erased, not by invasion, but by human design. The silence that followed was suffocating.